Okay, back with the Black 102 for the final video. It is done, completed, finished. Did some revitalizing of the black rec scene to make it pop a little bit more. It's looking much better now, not quite as faded. The motor's been done, the spring's been replaced, the brake's been replaced, the strap, carrying strap, that's been done. Bear with me, I'm using a different camera today, so might be a little shaky, don't know. This is the first attempt with this camera. Let's see. The reproducer has been fixed. What else do we have to do? Various screws have been tightened and adjusted and so on and so forth. Basically, this machine's had a full overhaul, is what it is. It wasn't bad to start with. It was a little bit weak in the spring. It was dirty. It was loose screws all over the place. Some interesting, repairs here and there. And of course the handle was crumbled. But she's in good shape now. She's playing good. Everything's working. The auto brake, that had to be fixed too. That's working also. And we're just going to do a demonstration now. That's all I found. Let's see. I was looking through a stack of records, most of which seem to be marches from the World War I era. But I found this one. Hit record. I'm assuming this is late 30s into the 40s sometime. A little worn. It's not perfect, but it's roughly contemporary with the time frame this machine would have been new, which was the mid-1930s in this case. Some people would say, oh, it's not appropriate to play 40s records with their softer material, making it the record, on an acoustic phonograph with a heavy reproducer like this. Look, the 102 spans the time frame from jazz all the way into the rock and roll era. 1932 to 1958 is when they made these machines, with minor changes along the way, nothing major. And they kept on selling them into 1960 from surplus stock. So that's a long time and a lot of records. That goes from the old Slate, was it Slate they mixed in with the record? I forget. The Victor records of this type to this type in the 40s to, say, Elvis Presley and such in the 50s, which were actually vinyl records. And actually, vinyl you can really screw up playing with these types of machines, but people did it. They didn't buy these things to look at them. They actually did use them, and they used them with contemporary records of the time, whatever that might have been. If they bought it in 55, that's what they played. Bought it in 32, that they were playing, stuff in the late 20s into the early 30s. But it'll play, it'll work. So, once in a while, you're not going to kill the record if you do it once in a while. Not maybe 300 times, but you know what I mean. Anyway, this record, oops, I'm dropping things on the floor. That's nice. We got Pretty Kitty Blue Eyes. Let's see. By Art Kessel. And we already wound it up, didn't we? I think I did. Probably. Yep, I did. Okay. Already have a needle on there. Spins right up.
walks along on the street, fellas shout, "Here, pretty kitty, here, pretty kitty, blue eyes." You can hear 'em shout every time she goes out. "Here, pretty kitty, here, pretty kitty, blue eyes." But she looks at no boy, she's lonely in New York, 'cause she loves a old boy named Johnny O'Rourke. That's why she'll never hear anyone him shout every time I go out. Here, pretty kitty, blue eyes. But I go with no boy, I've got my memory. 'Cause I love a doughboy who's now overseas. That's why I'll never hear anyone till he shouts, I'm here, pretty kitty, blue eyes.
Auto brake continues to function as it should. Dispose of the needle. And that is what this little drawer here is for, to store your needles in. Try to do this without stabbing myself, always a good thing. Let's flip the record to side 2. That is side 2. I don't know which is side 2. Okay. We have Forget-Me-Nots in Your Eyes. Okay.
Forget-me-not, tell no lies. Say whisper words of love your lips would never speak. And in that hush, a blush appeared upon your cheek. May those forget-me-nots blossom on. They will help me last while you're gone. There'll come a day when you will stray beneath homecoming skies, where sweet forget-me-nots shine in your eyes.
Triggers perfectly. These had the best of the auto brakes. After Columbia merged with HMV to form EMI, HMV got access to the Columbia style brake, and that improved things. Well, let's see. I saw one here, record. Let's see. The President Harding March. I didn't know President Harding had his own march. President Harding, of course, died in office. They said he liked the ladies quite a bit. Even had a love child. Yeah, and you think there's drama in the presidency today. Yeah, the past really did have some stories, didn't it? The glorious days of Prohibition. President Harding, of course, was one of our... Well, he was president in the early 1920s to oversee Prohibition. He said that one of the first things he did before it became in effect was go out and load up on booze to make sure he had enough to make it through, however long it would take before people realized the stupidity of that particular law and got rid of it. Okay, let's get a needle on there again. The President Harding March. Let's see what they did for President Harding. Don't know if this was for his funeral or just his inauguration. Who knows? President Warren G. Harding March. There's no eccentric on there to trigger the auto brake, so you have to do it manually. That's why we have the manual brake on these. Let's try side 2. Why not? We got the record out. United States Marine Band, that one was. And here we come again with the National Capital Centennial March by the United States Marine Band. The good thing about these marches and such is they don't trigger copyright infringement warnings like some of the other ones do. What they do when there's a copyright infringement warning, like on that first record I played, I'm sure we'll trigger one. That allows the copyright holder to place advertising on the videos I make. I don't put advertising on them, but the copyright holder of the material I play does have that right. And YouTube will allow them to do that. So that's why some of my videos might have advertising. You'll see various types on there. That all goes to the copyright holder of the record material. But these instrumentals generally don't trigger that. Oh, I forgot. Got to take the brake off. Now, these records are not contemporary to the 102's time frame, but they're earlier. This obviously, Warren Harding, I just dropped the needle. Warren Harding, he was president of the early 1920s. That's when the state's from, but that's okay. I'm just demonstrating the machine works, and it sounds good. And I have to test these records anyway, because I got a whole big thing full of them here that have not been tested yet. And I'm going through them one by one. There must be 20 or 30 marches in there. How about the Victor Salon Orchestra? The Glowworm. I don't remember that one, but we'll give it a shot. We'll try it. Doesn't look too badly worn. A little dirty, maybe. Which, they've been sitting around a long time. I'm sure this record hasn't been played in probably nearly a century, so. This one actually has an eccentric. It's a Victor Electric, which would put it mid-20s. They go post-1923, I suppose. I'm not a record expert. I don't collect them, but let's see. Yeah, you see that? It doesn't want to focus in on it. There we go. VE. See it there at the top? At the label there? VE. Victor Electric. Okay. This one we can use. The eccentric. Oh, I have to put a needle on there. Almost went without it. I always forget. Okay, let's put that on there. There we go. That one almost put me to sleep. Okay. You'd know when that happens, because first the camera will hit the ground, and then it'll be a larger crash with a whole lot of bad words. Okay, let's see. Let's get another needle put on there. That was kind of a long record, so I will give it a few turns of the crank. And what have we got on the other side? That was Nola. The Glowworm. Victor Salon Orchestra. Let's see if that puts me to sleep like the other one did. Wait a minute. I flipped the record already, didn't I? Wow, I don't remember. That made me so sleepy. I think I forgot. All right. Nola. We're going to play Nola. We'll know in the first 15 seconds or so if I've done it wrong. Ah! That one doesn't want to actuate. Oh, that was over hand. There we go. I guess it's not enough of an eccentric. Okay. What do I got next? Something a little less sleepy, perhaps. That's a Brunswick label. We have side A of I Love You for dancing. Probably should crank that up. Okay, and let's get a needle on the record or in the reproducer. Played better than expected. Let's see what's on side B. We have What Do You Do Sunday, Mary? Carl Fenton's Orchestra. Okay. Don't stab yourself with the needle. Scuffing on there, but we'll see how she plays. Okay, the Brunswick's got a bit more of an eccentric on there, so it will trigger the auto brake without any problems. I think that's enough. I think I've played around 40 records on this machine now, maybe even a little more than that. And it will shortly be going back to its owner, who will now be able to use it as it was intended for the playing of records. He had bought this overseas and had it imported it, and it was supposed to be fully serviced, and, well, it wasn't. Disappointing. You know, if you're going to sell something as serviced, you have a customer who wants to be able to take it out of the box and play some records. They don't want to have to send it out and have it done all over again, and that's what happened here. But at least it came with all the parts, including the tray. You know, you can see the feet on there. That is indicative of an earlier tray. They did away with the feet right before they did away with the entire tray itself. The original felt's in pretty good shape. A few little spots, but not that bad at all. The wood motorboard's in good shape too. The paint in the horn is not peeling. The back of the reproducer is a little bit not so good. But this is not the original reproducer to this. I'm pretty sure this would have had a 5A. This is a 5B. It's not unusual to see them 5As replaced because they did have a slightly worse mix of pot metal and they tend to crumble. I was able to put this one had a lot of problems. I was able to put this one back together using some actual parts from a 5A. You know, this had apparently on whatever machine it was originally on, it was exposed to a lot of moisture, which probably explains all that corrosion on the back. But nothing was cracked on the actual housing itself. The needle bar was badly bent. They had gotten creative in shoving things into the sides there, the ball bearing pivots, in order to take up some slack, not understanding how these things adjust. There were corrosion holes in the diaphragm. So the diaphragm had to go. The gaskets were moth-eaten. They had to go. So I found some original good gaskets to put on there. They're just felt. They're not rubber and like that. So being felt, they will last a very long time. The isolator gasket, much to my surprise, is still pliable. It's still soft. I was amazed. I don't know what kind of rubber they used on there in the 30s, but it was pretty good. Unless, of course, it was replaced at some time in the past. It just looks old now. And everything else is original to what came with that reproducer. Just the internals had to come out and be replaced. Unfortunate, but what are you going to do? Luckily, I have enough corroded and, in bad shape 5A and 5A reproducers that I do have parts on hand. Not many, but I do have some. Enough to fix this. So it doesn't have to use one of these. Although these sound just as good on these. This is a Victor orthophonic. This one is one I use on some of my machines. But I did actually play this in a previous video with that reproducer. You can hear it. It sounds nice. But they're kind of expensive. And they're kind of expensive not only to get them, but to rebuild them too. You'll be into it probably over $125, $150 minimum, I'm guessing. Because they don't come up that often in good shape too, especially if you sell it like that. So if you can at all preserve the original reproducers in these things, that is a good thing to do as much as it is possible. It's unwound. This goes back here. Doing this one-handed is a little bit awkward. There we go. See? This clip, if you're wondering, that was intended for a needle tin, which we do not have. And don't put your needle tins in those things. Needle tins are collectible in their own right. And if you put them in those, they're going to get scratched up. They didn't care back in the day because the tins were throwaways. They were just meant to hold needles till the needles were gone, then you tossed them. Today, we like to collect them, and collectors appreciate needle tins that are free of scratches. So unless you have one that's already scratched up, then go ahead. But otherwise, you shouldn't put your needle tins in there. But that's what that clip is for. And there we are. Now, I'm not going to wrap it up for shipping just yet because it needs to air out a bit. Because I was scrubbing on the wreck scene, so I want it to be thoroughly dry before it gets wrapped. That's okay. You see a nice handle on it. And that's that. Another Black 102 return to the living.